Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Manchester, New Hampshire, and Yankee Lanes. The center bought by Jeff Barden in 2019 as a companion to his Yankee Lanes in Keene. We are here for the semifinals of the Yankee Lanes NEBA singles, NEBA number 982. And our competitors are just finishing up their practice. It will be Jay Johnson, Bowler of the Year. I think if he wins this match, he wraps up Bowler of the Year officially, statistically. But, I mean, logically, he's had it for quite a while. He's up against R.J. Broge, the only lefty left in the field. And that will be on 7 and 8, on 5 and 6. It will be the battle of the Canadians, Dave Simard against Henrique Tremblay. And Henrique, both of these guys bowling very, very well and winning their matches in commanding fashion. Henrique just coming off a strike miss, basically sheet for 266 against Tyler Levesque up on 11 and 12. So absolutely crushing it. But the one thing you can tell about this 2007 EBT Ankara Open pattern is every lane is different and they all play differently. So let's see. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with Dave here on 5 and 6 against fellow countryman Henrique. And Simard starts off and flushes it. And actually it's Henrique who just shot the 260. Let's see how he does on 5 and 6. Here's RJ. We've seen a number of lefties attack this 7 and 8 pair, and with varying degrees of success. We just saw Coco lose here, and we saw Randy Hackemoser lose here. So it has not been the best for the lefties. And I got so far into the matches I forgot to introduce my broadcast partners. It might be that Mr. Chris Forey is here. Hey, Chris.
Good evening, everybody.
And Brian Gaskell, who carried the water last night for the live stream. Hey, Gas.
Hey, boys.
And guys, thanks so much for grinding it out here at the end of the match. And grind out is the way to talk about this pattern. And we are here towards the end of the. It's a rather late night. We had 5 on a pair at 9 a.m. We had a 12:30 squad. The re-oil took a while. And actually the lanes are starting to get used all the way down. You can see how popular this place is. They've got a league at the high end. They've got open play now coming down on 13 and 14. And we are down here on the low end. We're going to move over to 9 and 10 for the final after the semifinal on 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So Jay Johnson will be going for his 6th NEBA title, and that will be his, I believe, 5th of the year.
Yes.
That will be his 5th of the year.
Stoney.
He and RJ were part of that trios
with Bill Webb
team, right?
Defending the trios title.
Defending trios champion. So there's definitely some history here, and I'd imagine our Canadian friends have bowled each other and with each other quite a bit.
Travel partners.
Travel partners up in there. So Steve Gagnon was also down from Canada. Any other Canadians that I missed?
There's only 3 that I know that came
today.
3
that we know, yeah. So, well, I know Dave had to make the Paul Forey.
Yes.
I don't think he made it. I don't think he bowled good this morning. I think he made it in the afternoon.
Yes, he did not make the Paul Forey event.
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah, he struggled.
He struggled really bad this morning.
Yeah, so let's see. And Johnson will be tracking these matches for you.
We have title count wise, Dave won that Masters, the first one we did when we went back to the reboot. And remember that was the 1 a.m. finish, I think, or something like that.
I do remember that. I don't remember the end because I was so tired.
It was him and Skiana in the title match.
Yeah, I do remember that was a long day. Skiana's body was literally almost falling apart.
Are you missing your read?
I'll find it. All right. Just flipping through the papers here. Here we go. Thank you. There we go. We got to get the right papers to do the job. So, guys coming up is going to be the DJ's Pro Shop non-champs, thanks to John Zawalik and all he does at the Pro Shop there at Auburn. And we'll also have the Tournament of Champions, sponsored by Storm Rotogrip and 900, our title sponsor. And great shot there by Simard. And that will be on November 11th and 12th and 13th coming up. And really excited to say that Natalie Berkowitz is the new manager over at Auburn. That's exciting. Seeing some folks moving on up through the management ranks there. And also on December 10th, we will have our final senior tournament of the year. It'll be the Better Bowling Concepts NEBA Senior Singles. That's in Norwich. And then on 12, 10, and 11, we'll have the last round of the Paul Ford Memorial and a NEBA singles event, the Ideal Bowling Concepts Singles in Norwich. It doesn't matter which squad you qualify on that. It matters where you finish in the tournament if you're in the Paul Forey. And then if you finish in the top 20 in that prize list, you get to enjoy a share of a $10,000 prize list, courtesy of Buddy's Pro Shop and Chris Forey, in honor of your dad, Paul Forey. So those are the events coming up. And how are we doing in our matches here, guys?
Smart has a triple.
Just as I said, urethane didn't look great this whole time. You know, it could be pair to pair. My man throws a triple and
Sure.
light on the switching 7 there for Henrik.
Henrik coming off the 260, and Samard perfect through 3. You didn't see a lot of front 3s today, guys, right? I mean, how many have we seen? I don't think we've seen one.
No.
And certainly no front 5s or front 7s.
No, and I'll tell you, when I was on 5 and 6 the first round, those 2 lanes they couldn't have been more different. So
yeah,
to go over there and throw 2 shots in each lane and get lined up that quick, not an easy task.
RJ with a double after the open.
Lane 5 had a hook spot in the front. I was trying to throw it over it, and that's far from far from my A game. But there was definitely a spot in the front on 5 that if you hit it, it was just going to go left immediately. He might be left of that though.
Guys, want to send out our thanks to BowlingSeriously.com and Joanne Herman for sponsoring our Female Bowler of the Year in the Women's Cup Series. We had our final women's event yesterday, won by Mallory Nutting over Amanda Broge. Amanda has locked up Female Bowler of the Year for NEBA.
Oh, that's high.
And Jay through the beak, 4-6-7. Thank you so much, Joanne, for all you do for women's bowling. Also, shout out, guys, to Strike FX Pro Shops, Turbo Grips, Bullwinkle's Pro Shop at Rich Reynolds, Savage Arms, KR Strike Force, Greg Flamond at Grog Monster Sports, Cambridge Credit Counseling, Mr. Viali, always sponsoring NEBA, Bloomfield Electric, Tony and Sue Renaud for sponsoring the Masters event, Callahan's Bowlerama. I heard a rumor there might be something happening at Callahan's next year, but it's not official. TechVision live streaming. You're watching and hearing a TechVision presentation right now. Yankee Lanes, both in Keene and here in Manchester. DJ's Pro Shop, East Coast Sports Investors, BuddiesProShop.com, the annual prizes, plus Paul Forey series for 10K we just talked about. I Am Bowling, powered by Logo Infusion. You're going to start to see some I Am Bowling shirts on tour now.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
in the regionals. The H5G High 5 Gear Stranglehold has finally been released. I guess that contract finally expired.
Yep, and the players pushed hard to open it up to other companies.
They sure did. I know I was one of them, and we were very glad to see some other options out there. Ace Mitchell, another sponsor. Better Bowling Concepts, many styles of bowling, LaRue Marlowe. I'm wearing a LaRue styled shirt right now.
Oh.
Dexter Bowling, Chicago Sam's, and finally GMS Decorative Concrete. And speaking of GMS and Clay Schwartz, he wants to give a shout out to Don McLaren, the proprietor at Wamaset, and wishing the best to Don. Some challenging times. And if you've never been to Wamaset Lanes, I strongly advise you get there in Tewksbury, right off of 495 in Massachusetts. A beautiful house, newly constructed 6 years ago. And by the way, if you can practice and perfect your candlepin game while you're there, and everything else too, golf simulators and everything else. So big shout out there.
What's pretty cool about bringing up Wamaset real quick is that they have candlepin and 10-pin, and the candlepin machines, you got to think Candlepin hasn't really opened any new centers. They actually had their machines brand new, custom built.
Really?
So instead of buying like old ones and all that, they actually had
that's amazing.
And they have the Brunswick 2000 ball returns that are customized to send back the small balls in the mouth, so that way the center looks the same all the way across.
Most
so you don't have
ball returns or
over tops.
or overlaying for for Candlepin.
Yeah, so if you look at their building, you wouldn't, unless you looked at the Candlepin, you look across, it looks like the exact same building all the way across.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty cool.
amazing.
So
good for them. And there's a bucket by RJ. He thought that was going to recover after the double.
David missed the head pin, spared it, and it struck. So he's got a 39-pin lead. No, not quite that much. 29-pin lead.
29, wow.
Yep.
So David having the best of the battle of the Canadians. RJ with a 6-pin lead only, assuming he converts this bucket. So a close match here on 7 and 8. Shout out to Frankie Kalka. Frankie was ill and had to miss the squad today. Hope you're doing okay, Frankie. And Joe Skiana with a triple bypass surgery. Best wishes to Joe, and hopefully he's getting better. And you talk about the Paul Forey. Adam Zimmerman comes in at minus 82 to make the cut. The top 32 of the Paul Forey. It will be very quickly Aaron Major, Bill Webb, Peter Fox, Alex Aguirre, Jay Johnson, Chris Monroy, Tyler Hume, Mike Mirable, Randy Hagemoser, Randall Dunbar, Steve Blanchett, Jeremy Hartbarger, Kevin Tebow, Tariq Joyner, Tom Coco, Dennis Bissonette, Chris Forey, Stephen Major, Chris Soule, Stephen Jail Jr., yours truly, Bruce Hall, Chris Viali, ditto Fitzpatrick, Amanda Brose, Jeremy Melito, Andrew Hall, John Kirker, John Becker, Justin Veal, Mark Bouchard, Colby Hagemoser, and Adam Zimmerman missing the cut by just 1 pin. So sorry, Eric Copping is out, and as is Wilbur and Dumas and Robert Green and a few other folks did not make the advance. But that is the field of 32 that will certainly be there at Norwich, vying for that $10,000 prize list.
So RJ currently with a 5-pin lead over Jay.
First time up here to Manchester. We had 145 entries, guys. Pretty good. 32 qualifiers, 22 seniors, 10 super seniors, 5 women. High qualifier Dennis Bissonette at 1161. He beat the field.
Oh, 2-4-10. That's going to even the match.
Wow.
Unless he covers it up.
That's a.
Is that what you got, Gas?
He didn't miss by much.
So if he gets 2, 16, 25.
He's still going to be up.
He'll still have
be up 7.
pins.
Yeah,
half
7.
a mark. Yeah,
That's still
half a mark.
Brings it much closer
Yeah.
if he doesn't convert. I can tell you, I did not see anybody make a 2-4-10 or anything like that, because I felt like when you went across the lane, your ball just hooked instantly on spares.
Yeah.
And then you try to figure out, oh, let me cut it differently, and your ball didn't do anything. So let's see if we can get it. Nope.
I made a 6-8 the last game to keep myself in it. I was pretty happy about that, but I couldn't make any.
It was just
I only
like
left 1-3-7. I was playing so direct that and you would either come up for a 3-pin or beak for a 4-7. I didn't leave a lot of splits. Actually, I was going so straight. And I was pretty lucky. But there were a lot of 3-7s, a lot of 2-10s,
oh yeah,
2 8-10s,
washouts.
super washouts,
Yes,
4 6s, big 4, Greek church.
a lot of combinations.
All there, yes. A lot of designer numbers matched together.
So Jay is currently down 6 still.
Yeah. And Samar does have a 7-pin lead officially.
Yes.
And comes back and strikes, but Enrique can
double
tie it up right here.
You can double to take the lead by 3.
Take the lead, yeah, that's right. We do math here on the TechVision live stream. Actually, Jeff told us that his whole scoring front end blew out a little while ago.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
Great shot there.
Felt bad for the guy.
Here, we'll show you some of the scoring. Actually, let's let Enrique make a shot.
We're trying to see if we can figure out how to fix the monitors.
Yeah, because they're all the
Yeah,
right lanes
so-
a different font than the left lanes.
Yeah,
Well, if you get down there, they're all on the old
all right,
style.
he does get the double, does Enrique. So have a look at this scoring, and you can see that the right scoring is different than the left scoring. The left scoring is the very old
And
Brunswick.
when you can't see, the right one
stuff.
is kind of small.
Right
Yes.
one is
When you
small.
can't
Yeah,
see like
what
us.
you can't see is that it's small.
It's like the Kansas City Chiefs colors and everything.
That's right. The whole different colors, whole different scheme. It's real. I've never seen that before in a bowling center. How different they are from lane to lane. And there's the lane that just went bucket on. Did RJ? He gets it to turn up and go up. So
Did you feel the same way as I'm not sure about the left and the right, but did you feel like you throw a shot and you're like, okay, I maybe need to move, but maybe I shouldn't move, and then you'd move, and then the ball went the other direction?
Yeah.
All the time.
And then you go back and you leave another 2-pin, or come up late. In your case, a 3-pin. Would you? And then you're like just confused, like, okay, or you'd move like one off of a 2-pin, and then you leave another 2-pin, and you're like,
no. I'll tell you. One time I went high, and I knew the move, so I moved left, which is for me straighter, right? And I threw it harder. So sometimes, even though you come high, because you know you're picking up the dry in the middle, you got to move out and get it through the front to get it to the mid, to get to the right place in the mid lane.
The other thing is, with the staggered skip that we do, right? You're not following the same people all the time. Some games you're following more urethane, and some games you're not.
That's
and
right.
On the pairs where you're following more, and unless you're watching like a hawk, you can't know.
Or if you're following,
we don't have ball reps.
If you're following Chris Soule, you might be following plastic.
I threw plastic for 4 frames yesterday.
Yeah. Jay threw plastic for a couple shots. I said to Jay, and I told Jay it wasn't a bad idea, but there was so much friction on the one pair. I think we were on like
and the
27.
problem was it pushed the oil down so fast that it just went away immediately.
Yeah.
And but that's unless you got somebody watching lanes for you, that you're going to be on games 2-3 games from now. It's impossible to really know it, and the urethane does make a big difference.
That's a good shot. Get up the hill.
Great shot there. Look at
that messenger
he get
in
the
front.
Farkle? He gets the flying Farkle back across to match the double.
Still down 6.
Of RJ, down 6, close match. Huge strike by Johnson.
Hendrick struck in the 7th, open in the 8th.
Open in the 8th, and now Dave's going to give it right
Another
back to
2-4-10.
the open. These guys
and this is what would happen
right now. Yes, exactly.
You would think I'm pretty lined in, 2-4-10. Okay, I didn't throw it great. I'm not going to move off of that. I just didn't throw it good.
Right.
And then it happens again. You're like, maybe I should have moved. And his next move might go 4-6.
Yep.
It just I think that was the biggest challenge.
I was there the first round. I threw urethane there for 10 minutes of practice plus a whole game, and
they're both throwing urethane.
You might hit the spot that one shot, and then if you get it one right of that, and it misses a spot, and it could go both ways.
Or you speed it up a little bit, or you miss it at the bottom. Or lots of reasons.
Get up. Oh, bucket.
Wow, it just goes right
see that
through the mid lane. Yeah, right through the mid lane and buckets.
Flatten out at the scanner.
I want to say hi to everybody on the live stream. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We are here at Manchester, New Hampshire for the semifinals of the Yankee Lane singles. Jeff Barden adding $2,000 to this event. And
he only got one again.
Collective $3,000 yesterday. $5,000 added money by Mr. Barden for our first trip up here in Manchester. And
it's funny you mentioned. Obviously, he had Yankee Lanes in Keene. He bought Yankee Lanes in Manchester. Did I ask him why? There was a Yankee Lanes in Brunswick, Maine that just closed within the last 6 months. Could I ask him why he didn't go for the?
Well, he bought this from.
Same people own it.
Bolton, New England. Ray Corley.
Well, that might have been. They might have been operating the one in Brunswick as well, and they just closed.
They've been gradually selling off a lot of the small, but they're sticking to the ones in Tennessee.
He didn't want to expand.
Yeah, they had some centers down south.
They have those are like newer entertainment centers.
Yeah, he didn't want to expand into Maine, I guess, because I've been up there a few times.
Well, we talked about that in the podcast, and
Ray
Corley, right? He's been a huge influence on Jeff.
Yep.
And he's advised him in a lot of business dealings, and they've had a really successful partnership, those guys.
Yeah, I feel like Bolton, New England has gradually worked their way out of New England to like the mid-south.
They've never sold to a Bolero center, right?
They have not sold to any Bolero. Yep, they're still their own.
Will this lay off?
Nope. All right, got lucky.
There's an example. You bucket, you strike, and
barely
now you're on the beak.
Yeah,
3 shots in a row.
Now, do they own Bradley Bowl still, or is that?
They do. They own Bradley and Vernon.
Yeah, that was Bolton, New England. Yeah, they bought those out.
Those
from
they
Mrs.
renovated.
Jarvis.
Yep.
They bought those out from Mrs. Jarvis.
Those they renovated, took out lanes and everything.
I miss Bradley Bowl, I will say.
I think we all do.
Well, it's still there, but you can play laser tag on lane 32 now.
Yeah.
I think they have like 16 lanes left there now?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle of the 16,
Yeah, there's some lanes, a wall, and then more lanes.
Yeah, in the middle.
I haven't gone back since they did the renovations. So.
The irony is the middle of that house was ripped out by a tornado back in the day. So it was almost those same lanes they took out for laser tag. It was really pretty funny. History of that house.
Hendrick with a 2-pin lead, and now he goes 2-pin.
So let's dial in these numbers, guys. We have 142 for RJ. He's enjoying a 9-pin lead. Both guys on spares in the 8th, heading into the 9th.
And the trophy has made it out.
And we have a 2-pin lead here by Hendrick. He's on an open, and he's going to make this 2-pin.
Good matches coming down to the 10th.
Yeah, that's right. All these matches.
Oh, mixer.
And gets the mixer and the slap on the 10-pin does RJ. So he's definitely going to have ball in hand.
But that was a big count that Samad missed in the 8th frame. If he had just got 9 out, he'd be tied.
That's right.
7-1 on a strike.
That's right. If he goes 7-2, which is what Henrik did.
Yeah, they'd be even.
Yeah. This will be RJ's second single title match
if he can get by.
But I wanted to.
They weren't supposed to read it yet. That was my setup for you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. No, it's
making notes for you.
When you write things, I have to say them.
When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
That's right.
When E.F. Hutton talks, is that what he said?
Yeah.
When Chris Forey's eidetic memory kicks in, we all listen.
Just trying to set you up so you can keep going.
And that was a beautiful shot there by Henrik. Now let's suppose he doubles. He can shut out countryman Dave
Double
Samard.
9 he needs to shut him out.
Do we know what he left in the 8th frame when he went 7-2? 2-4-10 maybe?
I don't.
I'm not sure. I feel like we
I don't know. Sorry.
I was watching the match in front of us.
No, that's all right. I just wasn't curious to see what
I was reading something you wrote.
That was way after that. I try to throw bones at you.
Huge shot here. Huge shot.
That's a bucket.
Late for a bucket. Won't crumble.
Yep.
4-8. 4-8.
That's going to be 93. RJ just needs a mark.
That's right.
Big double.
Huge shot. And not the first time he's come back. Remember, he was bowling against Hagemoser.
Oh,
and
he was down by 30 or 40.
Nowhere, gets the back 4, and including a double in the 10th to win the match. And now he doubles here.
This is a hard spare on this one right here for Jay because
he's going right at it.
Easily pickable, though.
It's not going to hook.
He gets a little curve on his spares. That could be one. That's one.
Wow, good call. Holy mackerel.
He knew it, too.
Announcer's curse.
It's a hard on this because you get that friction.
Very easy to do, yeah.
You get that. You just have that extra friction, which your ball's going to pick up and then bail on you at the back. So
he knew it off his hand. He knew it.
Jay knows he's done. It's going to be RJ in the
now
finals.
You can say this and sound smart.
And it's going to be RJ's second singles title match of the year. And he will be bowling.
Other was a Chicopee against Dennis Bissonnette.
Henrik Tremblay. Maybe we ought to figure out if we can get his name right. Is it Henrik?
It's Enrique.
Enrique, thank you. Enrique Tremblay will bowl against RJ Broge. We'll move the cameras over to 9 and 10. And that pair has not been used since the second round of
So we saw Aaron 16, there, we saw Bissonnette there, and we saw Coco there.
That's right.
So three lefties have actually bowled there, which is unusual.
Yeah, that's right.
But only one righty. Right, one righty bowled there. Who was it? Who was Bissonnette's first match?
I'll let you study that.
Oh, that's all right. Guess my eyes aren't great, but I got to find
no problem covering the bucket.
So Bissonnette bowled Robert Green the first time there. So one righty is bowled there, and a righty that swings a little bit. So it'll be interesting. Henrik should have some pretty fresh lane surface.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, there's been way more lefties, so we'll see what's going on the right versus left. And we'll let RJ just wrap up this last shot, and we'll sign off, guys. We'll move the cameras, and we will be back for the final match of the Yankee Lanes Open here in Keene. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes for the final match. See you in a minute.